The Queen of Sheba is a figure first mentioned in the Hebrew Bible. In the original story, she brings a caravan of valuable gifts for the Israelite King Solomon. This account has undergone extensive Jewish, Islamic, Yemenite and Ethiopian elaborations, and it has become the subject of one of the most widespread and fertile cycles of legends in Asia and Africa. According to some sources, Queen Makeda was part of the dynasty founded by Tsar Besi Angabo in 1370 BC. The family's intended choice to rule Aksum was Makeda's brother, Prince Nurad, but his early death led to her succession to the throne. She apparently ruled the Ethiopian kingdom for more than 50 years. The 1922 regnal list of Ethiopia claims that Makeda reigned from 1013 to 982 BC, with dates following the Ethiopian calendar. In the Ethiopian Book of Aksum, Makeda is described as establishing a new capital city at Azeba. The Temple of Orm or Maram Bilqis, Sanctuary of the Queen of Sheba, is a Sabaean temple dedicated to the principal deity of Saba, Almarka, frequently called Lord of Orm, near Marib in what is now Yemen. According to Islam, Queen Sheba is also described in a verse of Quran as, "I found there a woman ruling him, and she has been given of all things, and she has a great throne. I found that she and her people bow to the sun instead of God. Satan has made their deeds seem right to them and has turned them away from the right path, so they cannot find their way." Quran 27-23-24. In the above verse, ayah. After scouting nearby lands, a bird known as the hudhud, hoopoe, returns to King Solomon relating that the land of Sheba is ruled by a queen. In a letter, Solomon invites the Queen of Sheba, who like her followers had worshipped the sun, to submit to God. She expresses that the letter is noble and asks her chief advisors what action should be taken. They respond by mentioning that her kingdom is known for its might and inclination towards war, however that the command rests solely with her, in an act suggesting the diplomatic qualities of her leadership. She responds not with brute force, but by sending her ambassadors to present a gift to King Solomon. He refuses the gift, declaring that God gives far superior gifts and that the ambassadors are the ones only delighted by the gift. King Solomon instructs the ambassadors to return to the queen with a stern message that if he travels to her, he will bring a contingent that she cannot defeat. The queen then makes plans to visit him at his palace. Before she arrives, King Solomon asks several of his chiefs who will bring him the Queen of Sheba's throne before they come to him in complete submission. An Ifrit first offers to move her throne before King Solomon would rise from his seat. However, a jinn with knowledge of the scripture instead has her throne moved to King Solomon's palace in the blink of an eye, at which King Solomon exclaims his gratitude towards God as King Solomon assumes this is God's test to see if King Solomon is grateful or ungrateful. The court had informed her of King Solomon's prophethood, and since then she and her subjects had made the intention to submit to God. King Solomon then explains that God is the only God that she should worship, not to be included alongside other false gods that she used to worship. Later the Queen of Sheba is requested to enter a palatial hall. Upon first view she mistakes the hall for a lake and raises her skirt to not wet her clothes. King Solomon informs her that is not water, rather it is smooth slabs of glass. Recognizing that it was a marvel of construction which she had not seen the likes of before, she declares that in the past she had harmed her own soul but now submits, with King Solomon, to God. 27-22-44. She was told, "Enter the palace." But when she saw it, she thought it was a body of water and uncovered her shins to wade through. He said, "Indeed, it is a palace." Sheba in the Quran shares some similarities with the Bible and other Jewish sources. 10. Some Muslim commentators such as al-Tabari, al-Zamakhshari and al-Baydawi supplement the story. Here they claim that the queen's name is Bilqis, Arabic, probably derived from Greek, or the Hebraized Pilagesh, concubine, The Quran does not name the queen, referring to her as a woman ruling Arabic, the nation of Sheba. According to some, he then married the queen, while other traditions say that he gave her in marriage to a king of Hamdan. According to the scholar al-Hamdani, the Queen of Sheba was the daughter of Ilshara Yardib, the Sabaean king of South Arabia. In another tale, she is said to be the daughter of a jinni, or peri, and a human. According to E. Ullendorf, the Quran and its commentators have preserved the earliest literary reflection of her complete legend, which among scholars complements the narrative that is derived from a Jewish tradition, this assuming to be the Targum Sheni. However, according to the Encyclopaedia Judaica, Targum Sheni is dated to around 700. Similarly, the general consensus is to date Targum Sheni to late 7th or early 8th century, which postdates the advent of Islam by almost 200 years. Furthermore, M.J. Berdichevsky explains that this Targum is the earliest narrative articulation of Queen of Sheba in Jewish tradition. The most extensive version of the legend appears in the Kebra Nagast, Glory of the Kings, the Ethiopian national saga, translated from Arabic in 1322. Here Menelik I is the child of Solomon and Makeda, the Ethiopic name for the Queen of Sheba. She is the child of the man who destroys the legendary Snake King Arwe, from whom the Ethiopian dynasty claims descent to the present day. While the Abyssinian story offers much greater detail, it omits any mention of the queen's hairy legs or any other element that might reflect on her unfavorably. Based on the Gospels of Matthew, the Queen of the South is claimed to be the Queen of Ethiopia. In those times, King Solomon sought merchants from all over the world in order to buy materials for the building of the temple. Among them was Tamran, great merchant of Queen Makeda of Ethiopia. Having returned to Ethiopia, Tamran told the queen of the wonderful things he had seen in Jerusalem, and of Solomon's wisdom and generosity, whereupon she decided to visit Solomon. She was warmly welcomed, given a palace for dwelling, and received great gifts every day. Solomon and Makeda spoke with great wisdom, and instructed by him, she converted to Judaism. Before she left, there was a great feast in the king's palace. Makeda stayed in the palace overnight, after Solomon had sworn that he would not do her any harm, while she swore in return that she would not steal from him. As the meals had been spicy, Makeda awoke thirsty at night and went to drink some water, when Solomon appeared, reminding her of her oath. She answered, "Ignore your oath, just let me drink water." That same night, Solomon had a dream about the sun rising over Israel, but being mistreated and despised by the Jews, the sun moved to shine over Ethiopia and Rome. Solomon gave Makeda a ring as a token of faith, and then she left. On her way home, she gave birth to a son, whom she named Bina Lakum, bin al-Hakim, son of the wise man, later called Menelik. After the boy had grown up in Ethiopia, he went to Jerusalem carrying the ring and was received with great honors. The king and the people tried in vain to persuade him to stay. Solomon gathered his nobles and announced that he would send his firstborn son to Ethiopia together with their firstborns. He added that he was expecting a third son, who would marry the king of Rome's daughter and reign over Rome so that the entire world would be ruled by David's descendants. Then Bina Lakum was appointed king by Zadok the high priest, and he took the name David. The firstborn nobles who followed him are named, and even today some Ethiopian families claim their ancestry from them. Prior to leaving, the priest's sons had stolen the Ark of the Covenant, after their leader Azarias had offered a sacrifice as commanded by one God's angel. With much wailing, the procession left Jerusalem on a wind cart led and carried by the archangel Michael. Having arrived at the Red Sea, Azarias revealed to the people that the ark is with them. David prayed to the ark and the people rejoiced, singing, dancing, blowing horns and flutes, and beating drums. The ark showed its miraculous powers during the crossing of the stormy sea, and all arrived unscathed. When Solomon learned that the ark had been stolen, he sent a horseman after the thieves and even gave chase himself, but neither could catch them. Solomon returned to Jerusalem and gave orders to the priests to remain silent about the theft and to place a copy of the ark in the temple, so that the foreign nations could not say that Israel had lost its fame. She apparently ruled the Ethiopian kingdom for more than 50 years. The 1922 regnal list of Ethiopia claims that Makeda reigned from 1013 to 982 BC, with dates following the Ethiopian calendar.